Have you ever wondered why some of the happiest people you know have endured tremendous suffering? What if suffering isn't just a burden we bear, but a gateway to a deeper, more profound happiness? To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Friedrich Nietzsche. Imagine hearing these words and feeling a spark of recognition, as if they resonate with a truth you've always sensed but never quite articulated. What if the very struggles you try to avoid are the key to achieving the happiness you seek? Today, we'll explore this provocative idea that suffering is not just an inevitable part of life, but an essential component of true happiness. This notion might seem counterintuitive at first glance, especially in a world where we are constantly encouraged to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. However, history and philosophy reveal a deeper understanding. Think about it. Why do some of the most inspiring stories involve characters overcoming tremendous odds? Whether it's a personal anecdote or a historical account, these tales of triumph over adversity inspire and captivate us. They move us deeply because they reveal an essential truth about the human experience, that suffering can lead to growth, and growth can lead to a richer, more substantial form of happiness. At the heart of our existence is a powerful survival mechanism, our brain's innate aversion to pain. Evolution has hardwired humans to avoid pain as a means of preserving life. Pain signals danger, a threat to our survival, prompting us to move away from harmful stimuli quickly. This mechanism was vital for our ancestors navigating the wild, where injury or exposure could mean death. Neuroscientifically, this is governed by the brain's reward system, notably the amygdala, which processes emotions like fear, and the nucleus accumbens, associated with pleasure and reward. When we encounter something painful, the amygdala activates, creating an uncomfortable feeling that prompts us to avoid the source. Conversely, pleasurable experiences are rewarded by the release of dopamine, encouraging us to seek out similar positive stimuli. However, in the modern world, not all pain poses a threat to our physical survival, but our brains still react to emotional and psychological discomfort similarly. We avoid difficult conversations, challenging tasks, and uncomfortable situations to protect ourselves from perceived pain. This avoidance behavior, while understandable, can become a significant hindrance to personal growth and genuine happiness. Our aversion to pain can lead us to prioritize immediate gratification over long-term rewards. This is why many people indulge in behaviors like unhealthy eating, procrastination, or excessive screen time. Though these actions provide temporary relief, they usually contribute to greater dissatisfaction down the road. Vulnerability is often perceived as painful because it involves exposing ourselves to potential rejection or judgment. However, embracing vulnerability is crucial for forming deep, meaningful relationships and experiencing genuine connection. Our brain's instinct to avoid this discomfort can keep us isolated and unfulfilled. By constantly avoiding pain, we can trap ourselves in a state of stagnation. We avoid new experiences, resist change, and cling to comfort zones, robbing ourselves of opportunities for growth and transformation. The path to happiness is not without its thorns, but embracing the journey might just be more rewarding than you ever imagined. Now that we have explored how our brains are instinctively wired to avoid pain and how this affects our behavior, it's time to delve into the philosophical perspectives that provide a deeper understanding of suffering's role in our lives. Friedrich Nietzsche, a renowned 19th century philosopher, offered a strikingly different view on suffering. Nietzsche proposed that suffering is not something merely to be avoided, but rather an essential component of human growth and evolution. He believed that personal development and the creation of one's identity are forged through enduring and overcoming suffering. Nietzsche introduced the concept of Amor Fati, which means love of fate. This philosophy encourages individuals to embrace everything that happens in their lives, including pain and suffering, as necessary parts of their existence. By loving one's fate, Nietzsche argued, we can find meaning in our struggles and transform our suffering into strength. Consider his famous idea of the Übermensch, or overman. Nietzsche posited that individuals could rise above their present condition through hardship and self-mastery, ultimately achieving a higher state of being. He believed that encountering and overcoming suffering was a crucial step in this transformative process. Nietzsche's perspective reminds us that our greatest growth often comes from our most painful experiences. In contrast to Nietzsche's philosophy, hedonism advocates for the pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain as the primary goals in life. At first glance, this outlook might seem appealing. Who wouldn't want a life filled with pleasure and devoid of suffering? However, the pursuit of constant pleasure can lead to a shallow and unfulfilled existence. Imagine indulging in every desire without restraint. The initial joy soon diminishes, leaving a craving for something deeper. Hedonistic tendencies can trap individuals in a cycle of seeking fleeting pleasures without ever finding lasting contentment. One significant flaw of hedonism is that it often leads to the avoidance of meaningful challenges and growth opportunities. By prioritizing short-term pleasure over long-term fulfillment, individuals may miss out on experiences that could lead to profound personal development. The quest for constant pleasure can create a superficial life, lacking the depth that comes from facing and overcoming adversity. Jordan Peterson, a contemporary psychologist, offers a compelling argument that aligns closely with Nietzsche's views, but is grounded in modern psychological insights. Peterson argues that life is inherently filled with suffering, danger, and malevolence, and it is through confronting these harsh realities that individuals can find true meaning and purpose. Peterson emphasizes the importance of taking responsibility for one's life despite the unavoidable presence of suffering. By facing difficulties head-on and striving to overcome them, individuals can develop resilience, strength, and a sense of purpose. This approach resonates with Nietzsche's idea of embracing fate and finding meaning in suffering. In his book, 12 Rules for Life, Peterson discusses the necessity of accepting life's challenges and using them as opportunities for growth. He suggests that suffering is an integral part of the human experience and that attempting to avoid it entirely can lead to a life devoid of meaning. Let's now turn to the wisdom of ancient spiritual traditions. These teachings provide profound insights into the nature of suffering and offer practical guidance on how to transcend it. Let's begin with the teachings of Buddha and then move on to the tenets of Stoicism. More than 2,500 years ago, Siddhartha Gautama, known as Buddha, achieved enlightenment and shared his wisdom through what he called the Four Noble Truths. Central to his teachings is the understanding and acceptance of suffering in life. The first noble truth, the truth of suffering, dukkha. Buddha's first declaration is that life is inherently filled with suffering. This suffering comes in many forms: physical pain, emotional distress, and the existential angst of life's inherent impermanence. By acknowledging this truth, we take the first crucial step toward enlightenment. The second noble truth, the origin of suffering. Buddha identified craving and attachment as the root causes of suffering. Our relentless desires for transient pleasures, material possessions, and even the notion of a permanent self create a cycle of unending dissatisfaction. The third noble truth, the cessation of suffering. Buddha taught that it is possible to end suffering by relinquishing these cravings. Through this liberation, or nirvana, we achieve a state of profound peace and happiness. The fourth noble truth, the path to the cessation of suffering. The path to overcoming suffering is the Noble Eightfold Path, consisting of right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This path is not just a way of living, but a guide to developing wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Buddha's teachings offer a transformative way of understanding and dealing with suffering. By accepting suffering as an intrinsic part of life and following the Eightfold Path, individuals can transcend their pain and achieve a deeper state of happiness and enlightenment. Stoicism, a philosophy that emerged in ancient Greece and Rome, shares similarities with Buddhist teachings in its approach to suffering. Key figures in Stoicism, such as Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, provided practical advice on how to lead a virtuous and resilient life in the face of adversity. Stoics advocate for focusing on the present moment and accepting it fully without longing for the past or fearing the future. This practice helps in reducing unnecessary emotional distress and increases our ability to handle current challenges effectively. One powerful Stoic practice is negative visualization, where individuals imagine and contemplate potential hardships and losses. This exercise prepares the mind for adversity, making us more appreciative of what we currently have and less fearful of inevitable challenges. Stoicism teaches the importance of distinguishing between what is within our control and what is not. By focusing on our responses, actions, and attitudes, and accepting the uncontrollable aspects of life, we cultivate a sense of inner peace and resilience. For the Stoics, virtue and living according to reason and moral integrity is the highest good. Suffering is seen as an opportunity to practice and develop virtues such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Like Nietzsche, Stoicism embraces the concept of Amor Fati, or love of fate. By accepting all events as necessary parts of our existence, even the painful ones, we learn to love our fate and find meaning in life's challenges. Though originating from different cultures and times, the teachings of Buddha and the Stoics converge on several key points. Both philosophies emphasize accepting the inevitability of suffering and using it as a foundation for personal growth and inner peace. They encourage us to cultivate a mindset that transforms suffering from a feared enemy into a meaningful teacher. Now that we've explored the profound insights of Nietzsche, the wisdom of Jordan Peterson, Buddha's Four Noble Truths, and Stoic principles, let's bring these concepts home. How can you apply these philosophies to your everyday life? How can suffering become a transformational force rather than a source of despair? Consider the challenges you currently face in your life. Are they financial struggles, relationship issues, or perhaps personal fears? Instead of seeing these challenges as obstacles, try viewing them as opportunities for growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? And how can this struggle make me stronger? Think back to the most challenging moments of your life. Perhaps it was the loss of a loved one, a major setback at work, or a personal failure. Reflect on how these experiences shaped you. Did they make you more resilient? Did they help you discover a new path or passion? By finding meaning in your suffering, you transform it into a source of personal power and wisdom. Imagine for a moment what life would be like if things took a turn for the worse. consider what it would be like to lose something or someone you value deeply. This stoic practice of negative visualization isn't about pessimism, it's about appreciation. How does this change your perspective on what you have right now? Can you find gratitude in the present moment, knowing it's fleeting? Start with manageable challenges. If public speaking terrifies you, begin by speaking up more in small group settings. If you're afraid of failure, set small, achievable goals that gradually push your boundaries. Each small victory builds resilience and confidence. Ask yourself, what is one small step I can take today to face my fears? Consider Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist. Despite enduring unimaginable suffering, he found a sense of purpose by helping others find meaning in their pain, which he detailed in his seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning. His story illustrates how suffering can lead to profound personal growth and a lasting legacy. Think about a time when someone's story inspired you. How did their journey shape your understanding of suffering and resilience? Suffering is an inevitable part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to be a purely negative force. By embracing challenges, finding meaning in pain, practicing gratitude, and taking small steps toward resilience, you can transform your suffering into a powerful catalyst for growth and happiness. The next time you face hardship, ask yourself, how can this experience help me grow? It's not just about enduring pain, it's about what you do with it. How will you let suffering shape your journey? How will you use it to build a happier, more meaningful life?